First things first, I apologize for the terrible lighting in this video. Hi YouTube, I'm Claire, and I'm here to talk to you about some books. So today for you guys, I have my July wrap-up and August TBR. I actually had a really good reading month in July. I read, I think, 8 books. Yeah. And I'm going to talk to you about them. If you want to read my Goodreads review and see maybe a little bit more in depth what I thought of the books, you can always check the links down in the description. I have all my links down there. Yeah, so let's get started. The first book I read this month was Runes. Runes is a paranormal fantasy romance kind of deal. It has to deal with Norse mythology, which is something that I did not know or expect when I first jumped into this book. I did really like it. I gave it a 5 out of 5, I think, because I just had so much fun reading this book. I really liked it. It's cheesy as all hell, but the romance is just so cute to me. It's typical like Twilight stuff, cute guy moves in, all that kind of junk. My necklace is annoying me, oh my god. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and totally would recommend. Super fun read, and it ends on a giant cliffhanger, which brings me to the next book that I read in July, which is Immortals. Now this book I actually mentioned in my first booktube video in the Ruler of Books tag. I gave this book a 1 out of 5 stars, I believe. I was super disappointed in this book. The writing was so chaotic. They were kind of just throwing all this information about you, about all like the paranormal stuff that was going on, but they didn't fully explain any of it. They just kind of mentioned it without any explanation. So yeah, I didn't really like that. Third book that I read this month was a new adult romance, and it was called The Deal. I really liked this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, I believe. It was a really fun book, and it was really actually funny at times, which I really liked. And so, yeah, that was a great book. The next books that I read were the Winners Trilogy. I read all 3 this month because the Winners Trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. Favorite. So 5 out of 5 stars for all these books. I reread the first 2 in order to finally read The Winner's Kiss, which is amazing. For those of you who maybe don't know what these books are about, it's pretty crazy. If you're really into political intrigue, if you're into slow burn romance, like super slow, but like the tension is great. It's written fabulously. Marie Rakowski, I always pronounce her name wrong, but she is a fabulous author. Her writing is simple but elegant, and yes, 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished reading, I was so proud that I read. I actually have this book, and I showed it to you guys earlier, and that is La Sombra del Viento by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And this is now one of my favorite books of all time, like by far. This book was fabulous. Like, it just so good. I cried so many times reading this book just because of how good it was. If you like thrillers, you would love this book. If you just like well-developed characters and beautiful writing, you would love this book. If you want to go to Spain one day and you think Barcelona would be a cool place, you would love this book. It is great. It is about a boy named Daniel, and the story starts with his father taking him to this place called the Cemetery of Forgotten Books. And he finds a book there, and he takes it home, and that's kind of when everything starts to happen. 5 out of 5 stars, always would recommend to anybody. One of my favorite books of all time. Okay, and then the last book that I read for this month, kind of saving the most exciting for last, is, ta-da! Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Yeah, I am probably one of the biggest Harry Potter fans ever. I love Harry Potter. Love it so much. I've been reading it since I was in 2nd grade, and I am almost a junior in college. yeah, so I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I know there are a lot of like crappy reviews out there and really negative reviews, but I went into this book really not expecting anything. And the only reason I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 stars, because I did enjoy the story, was I felt because it was written in a play format, it was lacking a lot of description, and I really need that in a book. And yeah, I would say it's great. I would recommend it to anybody who's a Harry Potter fan. Now on to my August TBR. I have kind of a super ambitious TBR this month, so yeah, let's get into it. The first book that I have for you today that I am planning on reading, and actually have already started reading, as you can see with my giant paper bookmark, is The Black of the Berry by William Thurman. And this book is about a girl named Emma Lou, and she is obviously African American, but she's dark-skinned African American. And this book has to deal with intra-race racism and colorism in general. And I do have a lot of feelings about it that I will definitely get into in my wrap-up or a review if anybody's interested out there in a review. And I'm excited to finish it because I want to see her character development more throughout the story. And the next book that I'm going to try to read this month, very tentative TBR guys, is Boss Man. And this is a new adult romance that has to deal with a steamy office romance kind of thing where this girl's going out on a date and her date's going all wrong and she's trying to call her best friend to save her, and this guy jumps in and like calls her a bitch and all this stuff, and she's like, wow, what a jerk. And then it turns out later that he's her boss. Yeah, so I just thought that sounded like a super, super fun premise, and I mean, the cover model is gorgeous. And I'm always up for new adult in the summer, so I thought this would be a great book to pick up and read. The next book that I'm planning on reading is Castle in the Forest by Norman Mailer. I got this at a used bookstore, so it's kind of a messed up edition, but yeah. This book sounds so interesting to me. This book is supposed to be about Hitler, his life, but told from the perspective of a demon whose job is to make Hitler who he was, to make Hitler the most evil man in the history of the earth. And I just thought that was a super cool premise. I'm really excited to read it. I read like the first paragraph before I bought it in the store, and I really like the writing style. But I've never read any Norman Mailer's books before, and I'm really excited to. The next book that I'm planning on reading is We Are the Ants. And I don't know too much about this book, except for that I've seen fantastic reviews about it. And the cover is beautiful. I know that it has to do with aliens, but it is more, I think, of a contemporary, like, existential book. And that just sounds really interesting to me. And I think it would be super interesting. And super excited. Can't wait to get started on this book. The next book that I hopefully get to this month is one that I also picked up along with the Norman Mailer book, and that is Inés del Alma Mía by Isabel Allende. And this is a book about a woman who's living in Spain with her husband, and then her husband leaves her to go and discover the new world. And so, wondering where the heck her husband went off to, she goes and tries to follow him, and she figures out that he has died in the new world. So she decides to make a life for herself there, and she meets a wonderful man who she has a romance with while she is there. I'm very excited to read this. I've heard great things. Isabel Allende is actually one of my dad's favorite authors, and I'm a sucker for romance. Really excited to pick this up. Next, I'm going to kind of put them together because I think I'm going to read either one or the other this month. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to both. And that is either The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss or Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. I have already read the first 2 books in the Outlander series, so I am very intrigued to read Voyager, but this book is massive. I think it's over 1,000 pages, at least this edition. And while this book is massive as well, it is not nearly as long. I think this is close to 800 pages. And I have heard so many good things about this, and I'm just very torn between the two. I might actually need you guys there in the comments to help me choose which one I should read this month, because I just feel like if I read this, I'm going to be tempted to then get the Drums of Autumn and just try to read the entire Outlander series in 1 month. But then if I super like The Name of the Wind, then I'm going to want to read that entire series. But it's not finished yet, so I feel like it won't be that much of a temptation. So yeah, I'm very torn. The next book that I am planning on hopefully getting to, because I've heard great things about it, is A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J Maas. And I love Sarah J Maas's writing. The Throne of Glass series is one of my favorite series of all time. I love Selena. I love the way that Sarah J Maas writes, and I just really can't wait to get to this book. The last book that I am hoping to get to in August is And I Darken by Kiersten White. I am so excited to read this book. I've just heard rave reviews about it. It's been all over BookTube, and it just sounds so cool. It is a retelling of Vlad the Impaler, but a gender swap. So it is Lotta the Impaler, and she sounds super cool, and she sounds like a badass, and I'm here for it. Like, I'm just so excited. So that was my July wrap up and my August TBR. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye guys.